Hi, welcome to the Socks for Mom podcast. My name is Becky and I'm sitting out here in the backyard. I'm coming to you on April 29th. I almost said August. April 29th is Sunday afternoon. I'm out in the back of my house. You can see there's a pond back there and I can hear the frogs rip it, rip it, rip it, rip it. So there's more rippets going on around this house than my rippets. So welcome to my podcast. As I said, my name is Socks for Mom, and that is where you can find me all over social media. We have a podcast group on Ravelry, Socks for Mom, and that's where you can come introduce yourself and you can participate in some of the knit-alongs that we have going on. So welcome here. My name is Becky, as I said, and I'm a Colorado girl transplanted down into the piney woods of East Texas, where I live with my husband of 35 years, and I am a spinner, I am a weaver, I am primarily a knitter, which is probably why you're here today. I crochet a little bit, I quilt, what else do I do? I sew, I like to make clothes, I like to cross stitch, I do hardanger, you name it, anything that I can do with fiber, I like to do. I am a maker, and you probably are too. So go get a cup of tea, not a cup, a glass of tea. It's a little warm here today, so you probably want some iced tea if you're going to sit right here with me and listen to me blather on about fiber. I have a little bit of administrative business to take care of. I want to talk about a couple knit-alongs that we have going on, and then we are going to fly inside, and the Becky of the future, I guess, will show you her finished Fern and Feather sweater that she got done when she was in Colorado last week. So let's get going. On my last podcast, I shared a little bit about colonial knitting in the colonial days prior to the Revolutionary War in the United States. And several of you mentioned you enjoyed that, so I'm going to keep on. Here's my dog Brownie. You can see her tail wagging, but you can't really see her. She probably thinks I'm talking to her. Come here, Brownie. Come here, come sit down. So I shared a little bit about that history, and I'm going to keep going with that because that keeps me going, doing all the research I need to do for the Master Knitting Program. So I found some pictures for you guys. I forgot to share them on the last podcast of the clock socks that were knit during those times. And that's what the segment on history is going to start with at the end of the podcast. So if you don't like history and if you're not interested in that, then you probably won't want to watch that part. So we have a colonial knitting UFO going on, and what that means is you can, I want you to tackle a project that you have lingering, that you just can't get the gumption to finish. You were in love with it when you started it, but somehow it found its way into a basket or a bowl or a box or a closet. Pull those out. Let's get them done, because you know what? On July 4th, when we finish, people all around the United States are going to be shooting up fireworks for us. Yes, they are. They're going to be celebrating with us that we have finished some UFOs and get them out of there, because when I finished that diamond fizz shawl that had been on the needles for 2 years just about, I celebrated, and I was so glad that I persevered and finished that. So let's do it. What I want you to do is I want you to decide what you would like to complete during that time frame. Go to the Ravelry thread, declare your intentions, and as you finish them, go back in and add finished photos. And for every photo that you have in there, Well, no, that's not right. For every finished object you have in there, I will put your name in that many times, and at the end on July 4th, we will have a prize draw, and you will have a special project bag coming your way. So, that is the UFO Colonial Knitalong. I think every time I say it, I reverse the words. Anyways, you probably know what I mean. So the other knit-along we have going on is, of course, the Wonderland Sock Club. And that is a club that I started the beginning of January, and all those socks are designs that I have made based on the characters in the Wonderland series. And so the first sock was the Cheshire Stripe sock, and I'll put a picture right here. And that sock is a scrappy sock, so to speak, where you take 3 colors and you knit them and you come up with a finished Cheshire Stripe sock. The next sock I designed was the Wonderland sock, based on Alice, of course, and it is blue, of course, because we all know that's what color Alice wore, right? And so that sock was a lace design. The sock that followed that was the Duchess sock, after that crazy lady in the Wonderland series. Those socks are color work, and that's a 2-color sock. The top part has some stranded color work going on, and the rest of it finishes off with a cable. The sock that followed that was the Handsome Pig sock, and that is a very easy pattern. That's probably the easiest of all of them, and that is a slip stitch pattern. Now you can still get those socks over on Ravelry. You can buy the bundle. I have some other socks coming out. I have the hookah socks, and that sock will be based off of the caterpillar in the Wonderland Sock Club. I mean, the caterpillar in Alice in Wonderland, who smoked a hookah pipe, who blew vowels, A-E-I-O-U, out of his hookah pipe. And then the last sock, I believe, there may be one after that, I'm not sure. But the sock that will follow that is in my mind, and I'm working on the pattern, the design, is the Off With Their Heads sock, because that, of course, is the Queen of Hearts. All right, so that is our Wonderland Sock Club. So we have those 2 knit-alongs going on. The Wonderland Sock Club, please feel free to put your finished sock picture, Wonderland sock, in the thread that is just for that sock, but I would also like you to put it in the thread that is for all of those designs. That makes it a little bit easier for me to draw prizes. So those are the 2 knit-alongs we have going on. So now, without further ado, we will go to the Becky of last week, who finished her Fern and Feather sweater while she was in Colorado, where it was snowing, and she could wear it for 2 days before she came back to Texas, where it was 85 years old, and she modeled it for you when it was that hot outside, just because she loves you that much. Let's go. I am sweltering, but my Fern and Feather is finally done. And I'm anxious to tell you guys about it, and I'm thrilled with it. And I will get to that first thing because I'm a little bit hot. But thank you for coming today. I hope you will find something of interest here, and let's get started. And I will start with this because I'm going to tell you about it, and then I'm gonna go change and take a little commercial break. This is the Fern and Feather, and it is a design by Jennifer STEINGASS, and it was a wonderful knit. It is a great knit for new beginners. I mean, not new beginners, but those who want to delve into stranded knitting, because I thought this was a very easy knit and very relaxing and very simple, yet it has a stunning effect. This is made with Cascade 220 wool, which is a hard wearing, standard kind of classic wool. And I believe the color is like a slate blue with the white, and I just love it. It's a little bit, it's on the snug side, I would say. Not snug, but it's form-fitting. I have no complaints at all about this pattern. I absolutely love it. So I hope you will think about knitting it. There are a lot of Fern and Feathers out there. Just go look on Ravelry. So that is it for my finished object. That is the only finished object I have. And I feel like I'm kind of blundering around explaining this right now. It's been a few weeks since I podcast, but I'm so hot, I'm not gonna record it again. So here it is, yay! My first sweater of the year. And I've got 3 more to go. So this is number 1. That was my Fern and Feather sweater, and let's see, as soon as I finished it, I cast on for the Aileas. I really need to learn how to say that. I'm gonna put the name of it right down here so you can see what it is. But I did cast on for that. I'm knitting this in Patton's Classic Wool. A real bargain because I used a Joann's coupon, and I think each skein cost $3.03. So I was able to go multiple times and use that coupon, and I have enough. I have 7 skeins to make this. So this is in my fringe bag, my fringe supply bag, which I still am enjoying. And I have cast on, this is a very unusual construction, and I'm not going to go into it because, like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm going to put a little clip in that I talk about that. But I will say that I did figure out why I'm increasing. It was a duh moment because, of course, it's an armhole. I don't know why I didn't figure that out. So that is what I will be knitting on. That's my next project, but more about that in a minute. So when I was in Denver, I had a very special delivery come at home. I had ordered some blacker Samite, and here it is. This is Woolen Spun. It's a wool silk blend. It's by Blacker, and the color is Aspen's Shiver. And it smells so wonderful. Are you a yarn sniffer like I am? I think if you love wool, you love the smell of wool, and this truly does smell like real wool. So this is made in the UK by Blacker, and I am going to do a summer knit along. Will be participating in a summer knit along that Emily of Fibretown podcast is doing along with Sarah Pomegranate, and that is the Iris Shrug by can't remember her name, Melody someone. I'll put a picture of it up right here. It's a beautiful shrug. I think it will be a great summer shrug because it's long, kind of like a cardigan. It shrugs in right here. And I think that will be something that I can wear in air conditioning over dresses, when I go to a movie, when I go to a restaurant, just enough to take the chill off of me, because I'm not really an air conditioner person unless I'm just really, really hot. I really like fresh air. But I will be doing this, and this is a nice neutral blend, and I'm really excited about it. The cast on is May 5th for that. So this is Samite. And when I was in Colorado, I had an opportunity to be with some of my fiber friends, and we went to a store in Lafayette, California. There's a Lafayette, California, close to where I went to high school. There's a Lafayette, Louisiana, where I went to college. And there's a Lafayette in Colorado that had this yarn shop that we went to check out. It was a really nice yarn shop. There were a lot of nice things in it. Very small, and they were having a sale. And I picked up, because I had been looking for it, some of this crazy Zauberball. And I don't know the number, but the color is rainbow. And I just cast on. I just wanted to have some fun socks to work on, you know, as a car knit. And I cast on my chili pepper socks. And I think that will be really fun to have it in these colors. So I got that. And another thing I got, we went to the Fancy Tiger Craft. And I bought this little llama luma to make pom-poms with. This kind of just grabbed my eye. I don't know how well it will work. And I don't really do a lot of pom-poms, but it's just so cute. And then you make them like this on the back. I think you put your yarn around the legs, and then you pull this down and tie it. So I'll let you know how that goes. And the other thing I got at Fancy Tiger Craft is some by Quince & Co. I bought some owl. And I bought this for a sweater design. A sweater, that pattern that I had purchased earlier this year, to swatch with. This color is cerulean, and it's beautiful, I think. Let me put it with some of this so you can maybe see the color a little bit better. But this is the color I picked, and I will be knitting Michelle Wong's Wickerwork with it. It's a pullover. I'll be doing that later on this year. But since they had this, and since it's very hard to buy, I haven't found it anywhere else, I decided to go ahead and get this so I could swatch with it. And it also smells really good. I should call this the yarn sniffing podcast. Sniffing yarn to get high. So this was what I bought. And other than that, I only bought one other thing. And that is some fiber to spin with. I want to do that sheep study I told you guys about. And I just loved this color. And this sheep is called a Swelldale. I'll be telling you more about it as I start spinning with it. Here is a picture of it. Of them, I should say. And I'm going to put in a couple other pictures as well. But I was kind of disappointed when I got home to see that really when you spin this, you use the yarn for rugs, jackets, bags, or baskets. So you really don't knit it into anything fun. Well, I'm not going to make a rug. But I got it anyways, and it will be a fun experiment. And the sheep are really cute. these little, it has these little funny hemp in it, I think it is called. They're part of the guard hair. And by the time I had a navy blue shirt on, and I had told my friend Sherry that I wanted to do this on a drop spindle. And she said, I'm pretty sure that's not gonna last long. I'm pretty sure you're gonna wanna do it on your will. And I said, well, why is that? And she said, well, look at your shirt. And I had these white things all over my shirt. So I'm not sure how it will spin up. It has a long staple. And when I got home, I started doing a little bit of research on it, and this sheep is primarily for mutton, and it comes from Yorkshire, England, in the area called Swaledale. So I'll be telling you more about that as I go down this process. So that is all I bought when I was in Denver. And now let me tell you a little bit about what I did just before I left. I saw on Instagram that Mary Mucklestone has like a little key ring of swatches of the fiber of Jamieson's Spindrift and Jamieson's. She knits little fiber swatches and keeps them on a key ring, and she uses that when she picks colors for sweaters. And so I've started doing that. I had already purchased this yarn after watching the Fluffy Fibers talk about it when she got back from Edinburgh. I purchased these colors for the Flea cardigan that's on my Make 9. And I went ahead and I knit up these little swatches. And I'm kind of toying with the idea. Once I had all these out like this, I kind of feel like it needs a pop color. So I may have to look at the color wheel and come up with a complementary color maybe, or a split color. I'll tell you more about that as I proceed with this. But I just wanted to go ahead and get that going. I am going to, every bit of Spindrift that I have and every bit of Jamieson's that I have, I am going to make little swatches, and I will get a bigger key ring, of course. And I like this because you can put the colors on one side, and you can take these off the ring and throw them down together to see how you like them. So yeah, I did this before I left. And so I am ready to do my Flea cardigan. I believe that is going to be sweater number 3. The Iris is my next sweater. I've got this, the Flea cardigan. That will be my fun color work. And then I have the gray Aileas. And by then it will be Christmas time, and it will be time to think about a new Make 9. So how about you? Are you guys planning? Are you working on your Make 9? On my last podcast, I talked about the Colonial UFO Along that we're having. And there have been some people who have gone out there and listed the things they want to complete by July 4th. And that would be anything that the colonials would have done, the colonists. Spinning, weaving, knitting. I have a little bit more of the history of knitting today for you that I will film in a little bit. And that will be talking about liberty knitting. And it takes us through the Revolutionary War and what knitting looked like in that time. So that will be the next segment. Do you guys remember how you used to feel when you came into your class and the principal came in and said, "Your teacher is sick, you can go home"? Well, guess what? You are getting a very short history lesson today because your knitting history teacher has realized how long this podcast is. So I'm going to save the knitting for liberty until next time, but I will, I have put in the pictures of the clock socks, and those socks were the ones that the people in New Amsterdam, which is the tip of Long Island, and in Massachusetts were knitting in their knitting circles. But before we go, I want to close with this little bit of information just to whet your appetite for the knitting for liberty. In the last history lesson we had, I talked about how the knitting and the sewing and the spinning circles were for social reasons. Now, with the when Great Britain started getting tougher with the colonists and they came up with the coercive acts, at that point things started to heat up even more. Because Britain was feeling their treasuries drained, and so they imposed more taxes on the colonists. And the colonists refused to purchase material from England. And it was at that point that the voices of domestic women fused with those of their husbands in a resounding never. So things are heating up here, and the knitting needles are clicking away in a time when women really didn't have much voice politically out in public, but their knitting needles sure spoke a lot, and I will tell you more about that next time as the Daughters of Liberty were formed. It's time for us to say goodbye. Just my brownie right here. It's time for us to say goodbye. Thank you so much for coming to the podcast. I have a few minutes left of blathering a little bit about myself, and if that's not of interest to you, then I'll tell you goodbye now. But if it is, let me talk about myself for a little bit. As I said, I went to Colorado, and I've actually been twice in the last 4 weeks. The first time I went with my husband, and as we were driving there, I had my neck down in a down position the whole time, because if you've driven across the Panhandle or if you've driven across New Mexico, you will know why. There was nothing to look at, and so I basically knit in that position for many, many hours. And when I got to Colorado, my neck, my shoulders, everything was spasming, and I was in quite a lot of pain that week. So I came back and went to my doctor, who was listening to me talk, you know, and the second I said I did a little bit of knitting, she stopped and she started typing away in her notes, and I thought, uh-oh. And then she didn't say anything. And then when she examined me and she saw that my neck, she could just feel my neck spasming. And she sat down and she said, "You have got to stop knitting." And I said, "What?" And she said, I think you have overdone it with the knitting and you need to let your body rest. Then she gave me steroids and she gave me muscle relaxers. And I lasted probably for about 5 days before I picked up some needles and I said, well, I'm just going to knit a couple rows. You know how the story's going to end, right? The next time it was, well, I'm just going to knit for 15 minutes because I had seen improvement in my shoulder. Well, before I knew it, I was trying to finish that Fern and Feather sweater, and I flew back down to Colorado, or up to Colorado, where I was watching Brody, the beautiful golden retriever that my daughter has, while she went all over Utah camping with friends. And I wanted to finish that sweater. I didn't knit nearly as much as I normally do, but by the time I came home last week, I was in bad shape again. And I went back in, and she said, "Did you knit at all?" And I said, "A little bit." And she said, "You cannot knit. You need to stop. Would you, if you had a broken leg, would you walk on that leg?" And I said, "If I had a cast on." She did not find the humor in that statement, and I'm pretty sure she's a lady that has no hobbies. Anyway, I'm not knitting right now, and I have a scheduled MRI to go get my neck looked at because it continues to spasm. And the only reason I'm telling you guys this is take care of your bodies. We love making, and I know many of you out there have been in the same boat that I've been in. And as we get a little bit older, our bodies just can't handle it as when we were younger. I hate to say that, but really, I watch some of the younger designers who are prolific, who are turning out quantities of knitting like I can't believe how they can possibly even knit that much unless they truly are knitting 10, 12 hours a day. And I want to tell them, take care of your body. Otherwise, you won't be able to do this when you're older. So that's my prescription for you. Now let's see what else has been going on with me. I had a great time when I was up in Denver. As you know, Colorado is quite the environmental place where they're very careful about everything that has to do with the environment. And I'm going to end this podcast with a little bit of footage. I really got into filming this particular shop that I'm going to show you. And my daughter says, "Mom, you just really are a hippie in your heart, aren't you?" And I guess, you know, I never really was a hippie, but I am a child of the 70s. And so there's probably a little bit of that in me. And I still, I'm not going to say anything else other than when you see this footage, read all the little signs that I put in there, and you will know exactly what I mean. That Colorado is a very environmental place. I don't know how to say that other than, you know what I mean, I think. So it was great spending this time with you guys. I hope you come back, and if you enjoyed this podcast, give me a thumbs up so that it can spread out there a little bit, and leave a comment. I love hearing from you guys. So you guys take care. Come back soon. Bye.